Good afternoon, and welcome to the National Press Club. My name is Richard Ryan, and I am Senior Washington Correspondent for the Detroit News and President of the National Press Club. I'd like to welcome club members and their guests in the audience today, and those watching on C-SPAN or listening to this program on National Public Radio. The video archive of today's luncheon is provided by Connect Live and is available through the National Press Club website at press.org. National Press Club luncheons are also carried live by many sites on the World Wide Web. Press Club members may also access transcripts of our luncheons at our website. Non-members may purchase transcripts, audio and videotapes by calling 1-888-343-1940. Before introducing our head table today, I'd like to remind our members of upcoming speakers. On Wednesday, May 2nd, Donna Brazil, former campaign manager for Al Gore, will be here to discuss election reform. How do we make it better next time? On Thursday, May 3rd, Vladimir Guzinski, chairman of the board, Media Most, parent company of NTV, will speak on freedom of the press and the future of Russia. And on Friday, May 4th, Richard Moe, president of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, will be our guest. His topic, New Pride in Our Past, a New Day for Our Communities. If you have any questions for our speaker, please write them on the cards that are provided at your table and pass them up to me, and I'll ask as many as time permits. But please write them legibly so I can read the question. Thank you. I'd now like to introduce our head table guests and ask them to stand briefly when their names are called. Please hold your applause until all head table guests are introduced. From your right and my left, Rob Hotakainen, Washington correspondent for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Susan Snyder, Senior Vice President of Marketing, Miss America Organization. Maria Recio, Washington correspondent for Worth Star-Telegram. Dr. William C. Nelson, President of the Citizen Scholarship Foundation of America. Arthur Bernstein, Vice President, United Sports Fans of America. Marcia Bullard, Publisher, USA Weekend. David Cooper, Assistant Vice President for Sallie Mae and a guest of our speaker. Mr. Frank Ockefer, Chairman of the Speakers Committee and a former National Press Club President. And skipping over our speaker for a moment, Emily Murray, producer for CBN News and the Speakers Committee member who was responsible for organizing today's luncheon. Thank you, Emily. Ken Esky, a former chairman of the National Press Club Speakers Committee. Jane Sims Podesta, Washington staff correspondent for People magazine. Mike Ray, Reuters America's Desk. Sheila Cherry, Insight magazine, the membership secretary of the National Press Club. Chuck Conconi, editor-at-large, Washingtonian magazine. Our guest today, Angela Perez Baraquio, the reigning Miss America, has what she describes as a unique and useful talent. She has the uncanny ability, she says, to be able to sleep while standing up. That means, I guess, that we're going to have to keep a close eye on her when she gets up here in a couple of minutes. No long pauses. This unusual sleeping ability is likely to come in handy during her year-long reign as Miss America. She has an exhaustive schedule. Since winning her crown last October, Angela has traveled an average of 20,000 miles a month and has participated in hundreds of events. I suspect Angela may have developed her sleeping habits growing up in her native Hawaii. She has 9 brothers and sisters and didn't get her own room until she was 18. Angela is only the second woman from Hawaii to be crowned Miss America in the now 80-year-old competition, and she is the first Filipino American. Part of her mission as Miss America, Angela says, is, quote, to teach the rest of America about Hawaii, about the aloha spirit. Her reign also gives her the chance to talk about another subject close to her heart, character education in our nation's schools. She believes teachers must help each child develop into a well-rounded individual by integrating character development into their daily school curriculum. A 1999 graduate of the University of Hawaii, Angela is now an elementary school physical education teacher and basketball and track coach at Holy Family Catholic Academy in Hawaii. She intends to use the $80,000 in scholarships she won in the Miss America contest to pursue her goal of obtaining a master's degree in education and to continue her teaching career. The Miss America pageant is the largest provider of scholarships for women in the world. Angela's appearance here today kicks off the month of May as National Scholarship Month. Even with all her travel these days, Angela is able to keep in the shape that won her the swimsuit portion of the Miss America competition by a daily fitness routine of weightlifting and Tai Bo, which, as you know, is a strenuous kickboxing workout. For relaxation, she plays keyboard for the High Tide, an all-girls rock band. The winner of the Miss America crown must combine beauty and talent with dedication and perseverance. All those ingredients are critical. Angela had competed in pageants as a teenager, but had given them up. Her students urged her to try again. "If you have a dream," she said, "you can make it." And she was motivated by her students. A young girl by the name of Bernadette, a fifth grader at Holy Family Academy, wrote Angela on the eve of the contest. "If you win or lose," wrote Bernadette, "you are still Miss America in our hearts." So please join me in welcoming to the National Press Club a beautiful and talented young woman who made her dreams and the hopes of Bernadette and so many others come true. Miss America, Angela Perez Baraquio. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and aloha. It's great to be back here in Washington, where I was honored to launch my platform at the United States Department of Education's Improving America's Schools Conference last December. There, I made my promise as an educator and as Miss America to be an advocate for the adoption of character education in our country's schools and to ensure that it becomes a national priority. Since then, I have traveled more than 20,000 miles a month, advocating the formal integration of character education in our schools' day-to-day practices. During that time, I have spoken with President Bush and the First Lady, governors and legislators in many states, organizations that support character education, young people, teachers, school administrators, and parents. Before I became Miss America, I always had a voice. But with this, I now have a microphone, which amplifies that voice. This crown enables me to travel the country, reinforcing the importance of character education everywhere I visit. It has been a fabulous journey that has given me the opportunity to meet hundreds of thousands of people from all walks of life and to feel the heartbeat of our country from the citizens themselves. What I have discovered is both hope and despair, because people know that ours is the greatest nation on earth, but they also know that we are not living up to our potential. However, I believe we are a nation with great promise, whose best days are still ahead. I say this because everywhere I go, I meet wonderful people affecting change at the local level, who have kind hearts, bright eyes, big smiles, and still believe in the American dream. I'm living proof that the American dream can be achieved. My parents immigrated to Hawaii from the Philippines 31 years ago, and I'm the 8th of 10 children. My parents worked hard to provide for our family and college educate all of us. We weren't wealthy financially, but we were wealthy in the sense that all of my siblings and I were taught from a very early age the value of education, respect for ourselves and others, hard work, faith in God, the importance of being surrounded by family and friends. I also learned that making good decisions and doing the right thing, even when no one was looking, was important. When I was growing up, I didn't always dream of one day becoming Miss America. In fact, I was sometimes teased about my weight and my looks, and it was inferred that because I was Filipino, there were certain things I wouldn't be able to do. But my parents and my teachers taught me to believe in myself, to work hard to overcome obstacles and achieve my goals. When I first entered the Miss America competition, I entered solely to earn scholarship assistance and to make a difference. It was a means to reach my goal of finishing college so I could become a school teacher one day and pass on to my students the lessons that my parents taught me. As an educator, I've learned that we need a widespread commitment to formal, quality character education in our homes, in our schools, educational and administrative offices, government bodies, and communities. First, though, we need a basic agreement on what constitutes good character. We can define character from a reporter's perspective with the 5 W's and an H. Character is not just the behavior you demonstrate to others, it's the foundation of the everyday decisions you make that influence who you are, what you achieve, where you go in life, why you choose certain paths, when you are able to overcome life's challenges, and how you fit within society. So if the absence of character becomes pervasive among citizens, we are in danger of losing our nation's moral integrity. Currently, we live in an era that can be described or defined as PC. PC does not stand for personal computer or politically correct. It stands for post-Columbine. Incidents like the Columbine and Santee shootings show us why character education is so important. At Columbine, 2 student gunmen fatally shot 12 students and 1 teacher and wounded more than 20 others before committing suicide. Those gunmen were A students, obviously taught to excel in academics, but we as a society failed to instill good values in them. March 6th, 2001, California. The San Diego Union Tribune. Terror hits home. March 8th, 2001, Pennsylvania. Williamsport's Sun-Gazette. Shootings hit home. A few days later, March 23rd, 2001, California. The San Diego Union Tribune. Gunfire again. And March 31st, 2001, Indiana. South Lake County Post-Tribune. Student 17 slain on steps of Lew Wallace. Is this what our world has come to? Children afraid of going to school? Schools used to be a place for learning, a place of safety, the hub of society. It's time for the media, for parents, teachers, administrators, the president, and Congress to take a stand in support of character education. It's a long road, and results will not occur overnight. However, we must be proactive instead of reactive. Let's not wait to take action until another innocent life is lost. We must act now. Character education is not an instant cure for the difficult problems the children of today face, but a necessary step to combat their problems. Character education is not a single program. It's a long-term commitment, a culture change, a way of life. Now, some of you may be wondering, why character education? Where did the concept come from? Since the founding of our nation's educational system, the goal has always been not only to educate children, but also to mold them into good citizens. When we took prayer out of schools, we didn't replace it with anything. The biggest problems teachers faced in the 1950s were making sure there was no running in the hallways, no talking, no gum chewing. Times have definitely changed. Some problems teachers face today are guns, violence, suicide, and substance abuse. The intentional teaching of good character is particularly important in today's society because our youth face many opportunities and dangers unknown to earlier generations. They are bombarded with many more negative influences through the media and other external sources prevalent in today's culture. Many children today don't have the same level of parental and extended family involvement, supervision, or support as previous generations. They need our help, the help of their parents, their teachers, celebrities, and the media to be their role models and to encourage them to stay focused on their goals. Character education isn't something that you do to kids. It's something we all do with kids. When it comes down to it, young people just want to be included, listened to, and cared for. Parents want kids to grow up to be kind, caring adults. Teachers want respectful, motivated students. Employees want honest, productive workers. We all want a society composed of people with good character. Weaving character education into our everyday lives affects everyone because we are all stakeholders in the education of America's children. But good character is not formed automatically. It is developed over time through a sustained process of teaching, modeling, and learning, and also practice. It's developed through character education and a positive school climate. However, it does not occur merely in the classroom or on school grounds. I believe first and foremost, parents are most directly responsible for the development of their children's character. Yet children are educated about character by every activity they participate in and by every individual they meet. Teachers, more than any other adult aside from parents, directly influence the character traits our young people develop. If America's teachers are to be responsible for teaching our children to become honorable people, then America's teachers need to be treated like honorable people. If predictions hold true and we continue to treat and compensate teachers the way we currently do, by 2010, our nation's classrooms will suffer from a shortage of up to 1 million teachers. As an educator and Miss America, I am championing the critical role our education system plays in formulating students' character. The goal of formal quality character education is to develop students socially, ethically, and academically, as well as emotionally, by infusing character development into every aspect of the school culture and curriculum. Character education promotes shared core ethical values such as respect, responsibility, integrity, honesty, and perseverance. But character education is not just about intangible concepts such as caring, compassion, self-discipline, and kindness. It also encompasses virtues like setting and attaining goals and postponing gratification in order to do the right thing. These character traits transcend our differences in race, political affiliation, gender, religion, and socioeconomic status. Character education goes beyond behavior management. It's about teaching students to become ethically prepared for life. 3 core components of character education are judgment, emotion, and conduct. Knowing what's right, caring about what's right, and doing what's right. Some people argue that character education is not measurable, but that's not true. There are numerous ways to examine the thought and behavior changes that result from formal character education. One way for schools to measure effectiveness after implementing a character education initiative is to examine past incident rates, which are routinely monitored, such as truancy, playground violence incidents, discipline referrals, and teen pregnancy, and then compare those rates after character education is formally in place. To date, individual character development practitioners have conducted the research. However, a comprehensive national study has never been done. So what we don't know is how many schools in the United States are actually engaged in character education, what methods they use, which ones work, or what additional resources they need. That's part of the reason the pending federal legislation is so critical to the direction of our nation's character education. The federal government became involved in character ed in 1995, providing the first grants for states and school districts to implement programs emphasizing core values for students. Since then, the U.S. Department of Education has provided $28 million in grants to 36 states and the District of Columbia to develop character education pilot projects. More than 20 states throughout the country have taken legislative measures to either mandate or encourage character education. Every state should join in this movement to make lasting and positive changes in the American educational system. During President Bush's campaign, he proposed a series of detailed education reforms that would triple funding for character education. He pledged to increase funding from approximately $8 million per year to $25 million per year. I stand before you today and encourage President Bush to turn that campaign promise into a reality and champion the Senate's proposed increase to $50 million per year. To date, 4 bills have been introduced into Congress. Those bills call for important character education efforts, such as national research on character education, a Character Ed Resource Center, and the integration of character ed into elementary and secondary schools. I applaud this legislative action, and I think it's a step in the right direction. Collectively, the bills address critical needs that I hope will be included in the final bill presented to Congress, and I'm looking forward to seeing the final package. I also will hold President Bush to his promise, and I challenge you all to do the same. So what can you do as members of the media to help? I know many of you are expecting me to request that you report on many of these character education programs that are making a difference, but I know that's not really newsworthy for you. Your editors are not going to set aside room on the front page or at the top of the news for that kind of story. But suppose we have another instance, God forbid, where a child brings a weapon to school and kills someone. We all know from experience that if this happens, it's going to be front page news for days on end. You will all report on the incident as it happens. The next day there will be more in-depth stories with first-hand accounts of the violence. Those stories will be followed by profiles of the accused and reactions from those who knew him or her. Then there will be editorials written lamenting the fact that our children are not safe in schools. All I'm asking is that in some of those follow-up stories or editorials, you consider devoting a little space to the programs and the people that are attempting to change those horror stories into success stories. Why couldn't you include in your stories a quote from a character development expert or explain how some school systems are taking proactive steps to stop the sort of violence from ever happening in the first place? There is hope for this terrible disease of child-on-child violence that is affecting our schools because character education is working and making a difference. Of course, I realize that you can't point to a school that has successfully implemented character education and say that because of it, a classroom was safe from harm or that a child did not bring a gun to school. But we do see modifications in behavior where successful character education has been instituted. I believe these success stories deserve a few column inches among the hundreds that report on daily incidents of violence. However, it's up to you in the media to decide what's newsworthy or not. The next time something awful happens in a school, I just urge you to take a moment to think through how you can use the power of your pens and your cameras to help ensure that it will be the last such incident you ever have to report. I've spent a bit of time talking about character education, but now I'd like to broaden the scope a little bit and talk about some other aspects of education. One of the reasons we're here today is to celebrate National Scholarship Month. Scholarships are an important way to assist in shaping our country's future generations. The Miss America program is a very successful scholarship program, but I'm sure there are several among you today who still don't know that the Miss America organization is the single largest provider of scholarships for young women in the world. The first Miss America scholarship to advance women's education was given in 1945, long before it was fashionable to do so. A group of visionaries within the Miss America organization had the foresight to recognize the importance of education and scholarships for young women. Last year, more than $40 million in cash and tuition scholarship assistance was made available at the local, state, and national levels of the Miss America program. Participation in the program empowers young women to achieve their personal and professional goals while providing a forum in which to use their talents and intelligence to advance a platform dedicated to making a difference in the lives of America's youth. It certainly has done that for me. I paid off my entire bachelor's degree just 2 years after graduating from college, and I plan to continue my education using the rest of the scholarships I have to complete my master's degree in education administration. Scholarships indeed light the future, the theme of this year's National Scholarship Month. They challenge, motivate, and encourage students of all backgrounds to obtain the benefits of a college education. With increased scholarship support, no student will be left behind, and all students can realize their educational dreams, entering society as productive citizens. That's why the Miss America organization made scholarships the object of our competitions 56 years ago. And it's why we step forward each year to partner with the Citizens Scholarship Foundation of America in celebrating National Scholarship Month. Citizens Scholarship Foundation of America is the nation's largest private sector scholarship and educational support organization. Since its founding in 1958, CSFA has distributed over $660 million to more than 657,000 students. We are proud to partner with CSFA in asking corporations and businesses to make a commitment to sponsor scholarship programs. Currently, CSFA, through its Scholarship Management Service Program, partners with more than 900 corporations, and through its community-based Dollars for Scholars program, works with more than 900 Dollars for Scholars chapters in administering scholarship programs. With us today, we are pleased to have 16 scholarship recipients from across the country who have benefited from the scholarships provided by the CSFA programs. Where are the students today? Congratulations. In line with my character education platform, CSFA also has created the Scholarship program to challenge and motivate young people to stay in school and prepare for post-secondary education. Currently, Scholarship is available in 20 states. The Younger Americans Act, currently being considered in Congress, is another example of an opportunity to impact our young people in positive ways. Traditionally, programs that are focused on youth identify and attack the problem after it occurs, such as anti-drug campaigns. Why not develop a program that is preventative, which identifies and recognizes the positive actions of youth? The Younger Americans Act calls for just that, through the mobilization of communities and schools working together and demonstrating they truly care about young people and how they're doing in school and also where they're going with their lives. What better time to focus on such legislation than during National Scholarship Month? As we head into the 21st century, isn't it time we ask ourselves whether the dream of a college education will continue to be available to all Americans or just to those whose wealth allows it? This is why we are focusing in May on asking all Americans to support National Scholarship Month and to join me in making the American dream of a college education possible for all students. The candle I have just lit is symbolic of National Scholarship Month, which will be celebrated on May 2nd, when hundreds of organizations light candles in support of scholarships for youth. I would like to thank the Citizens Scholarship Foundation of America for making it possible for me to be here today and for its support of my efforts on behalf of character education. I believe we would all agree that there has never been a time when we need character education more than we do now. When I complete my year as Miss America and resume my career as a professional educator, character education will have greater significance for hundreds of thousands of deserving women and men who comprise the ranks of America's teachers. In my dual role as teacher and Miss America, I will use my microphone to help young people develop a greater understanding of positive character development. Attitude follows leadership, and leadership can be found at every level of our society. Good character, like greatness, is having the courage to do the right thing every day in ways that help every member of our society to achieve the promise of a better life. I invite you to join me as we carry forth the message of good character to our friends and neighbors across our great country. Our heritage and our strength give us the ability to face our problems head-on and solve them with tenacity and hope for the future. Rather than despairing about the darkness, I ask you to take initiative in lighting the way for a brighter future, for a brighter tomorrow, for our country and all Americans. Is this really what we want to continue to see in our headlines? I don't believe so. At this time, I'd be happy to take any questions that you may have for me. Thank you. And thank you.
I'd like to just ask this question on behalf of all those young women who might be out there thinking about entering the Miss America contest next year. You mentioned you have 9 brothers and sisters. Are there any more at home like you?
I have 6 sisters and 3 brothers, and I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for them and for my parents. I always say that the foundation of who I am are my family, my faith, and my education. So I guess they're all like me in a certain way. We all came from the same parents.
And future Miss Americas. In terms of the scholarships, this question would like to know your perception as a teacher, the difference that local scholarships might make in the lives of young people.
Local scholarships in general?
Yes.
When I competed for the Miss America in the Miss America organization for the first time, I earned some local scholarships just as a local title holder. I didn't have to become Miss Hawaii, I didn't have to become Miss America to earn about $7,000 in scholarship assistance my first year. That was an in-kind scholarship, and then I had a cash grant. Those scholarships were so important to me because I was able to pay for part of my bachelor's degree. Once I became Miss America, I was able to pay off my entire bachelor's degree. But they're so important at the local level because it enables students to have hope to stay in school because they don't have to worry about financial assistance.
That's fine. Do you advise college students to choose teaching since 2.2 million teachers are going to be needed in the next 10 years?
Whenever I speak to colleges or universities, for example, I went to the University of Florida, and a girl came up to me and said, I really was inspired by your speech and I want to become a teacher, but I also know that there's not a lot of money in teaching. Well, the problem today is that a lot of teachers who are in the profession don't do it for the money, but that's a problem because money is important to live, and teachers cannot do their job if there aren't too many incentives to go into the profession. I have friends who've been in the profession for 30 and 40 years, not making more than $40,000, have 2 other jobs. How are they going to focus on that? I encourage students to follow their heart. I encourage them to make a difference. I tell them that I love teaching, and I encourage them to go into the profession, but we as a society, again, need to value our teachers more so that students will have the incentives to come in and do a really good job in the teaching profession.
In terms of character education, this questioner would like to know, isn't character education really the responsibility of parents? And how can fathers and mothers just turn this responsibility over to schools and government?
That's a frame of mind that we need to change in our world, because I believe that parents are the primary educators of their children, but they're not with them 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And when they go off to school, the children are in the hands of the teachers, which are sometimes 6 to 8 hours a day. And then if you're in an after-school program or in a before-school program, you're with a lot of other adults and teachers. So character education doesn't just stop in the homes, it continues to the schools, and then again back in the whole homes and all throughout the community. Parents need to have a partnership with the community, with the schools, with the teachers, and everybody, because it does take a village to raise a child. We are all stakeholders in education. So although I do agree parents are responsible primarily, so are teachers, because teachers are secondary educators of our children. Thank you.
Along the same lines, this question wants to know where you might suggest parents draw the line between working extended hours to financially support their children and being at home to provide them the needed quality time.
I think a lot of parents are doing a good job at taking care of their parents at home, but when they, again, if you are trying to earn that money for kids to go to college, they have to go and work. That is when they have to take responsibility to have a babysitter or to have kids involved in other activities like sports. When I was growing up, my parents had 10 kids, but we all were involved in school activities and church activities, in sports. So find a place, a safe place for them to have activities when they're not with them. That's the parent's responsibility.
Many of our schools in cities today have very large classes. Do you think that character education is possible in such large environments?
Well, of course, I want to have smaller class sizes, but that's in a perfect world. The fact is that there are a lot of classes out there that are large. Like I said before, character education is not a single program. It's a way of life. It's the way we deal with our students on an everyday basis and with each other. It's a culture change. When kids come to school, they want to be safe. They want to be included. They want to be cared for. They want to be listened to. We need to provide them with mentors. We need to provide them with activities and things in the curriculum that not only teach reading, writing, math, and all the other subjects, but infuse a moral type of lesson within them. That's why I say we need to infuse character education into the curriculum. It can be done in music, it can be done in physical education, it can be done in reading through multicultural literature. It can be done through a whole variety of ways, and the good thing about character education is you put the freedom back in the teacher's hands to be creative and work on that creative process and say you can teach character education as you want, but you're continuing to teach them subject matter. It does decrease the problems that you have, the discipline problems. Last year I gave away 2 conduct referrals in the entire school year. In the beginning I started off by saying that there are 4 agreements that my students use. I was tribes trained in Hawaii at the University of Hawaii. So the 4 agreements were: number 1, mutual respect. You respect yourself, you respect me, you respect others in the world around you. Number 2, you have attentive listening whenever I speak or an adult speaks or when anyone else in the room speaks. You listen with your eyes, your ears, your heart, and your whole body. Third, you have the right to pass. If you don't feel good, you don't have to answer my question, but you can't pass on tests. You can't pass on things that you need to do. But you can pass on emotional feelings if you don't want to share that, because I respect you. And finally, no put-downs. We only show appreciation. And I tell them these are not rules, these are agreements. Do you promise to agree to them? They're like, oh yeah. And if you do that, we'll have fun in our class. Well, that set the stage for the rest of the year. I didn't have many discipline problems, and kids would actually come up to me and hug me after class and say, I love you, Miss Baraquio, because that was the culture, that was the climate that I was able to develop in my class. And if that's school-wide, can you imagine the change that you can have school-wide, district-wide, statewide, nationwide? That's what character education is about. It's a culture change.
This question worries that there might be a danger religion will be brought into the public schools if there's too much emphasis on character education.
I get this question everywhere I go. You know, separation of church and state, what do you think? Character education is a system of core ethics which sets the standards for character development and student behavior. But it also focuses on the process, the democratic process that our whole nation was founded upon. The universal character traits that I am promoting are traits like respect, responsibility, integrity, honesty. I don't know how many parents would come up to you as a teacher and say, how dare you teach my child about respect? How dare you teach about honesty and integrity? It just so happens that a lot of the world religions are based on the same precepts of respect and honesty and integrity and all those things. As long as you keep that line of separation of church and state and you focus on the universal character traits that transcend religion and all those other areas like socioeconomic status and political affiliations and gender, you stick to that, you get your teachers trained to implement a program in your school, then I think that you're fine.
Is there anything that can be done about the bullies in schools who apparently drive shooters over the edge and cause the tragedies that you've discussed?
Going back to creating a classroom climate or a school climate that is positive and conducive to good behavior, we have to make our students feel safe and included and provide counselors and people in the school to be mentors to our students so that nobody feels isolated. When I go to school sometimes I ask them, how many of you use put-downs or tease others? And some people will raise their hand, oh, I like to put people down. How many of you like to get put down? And then you have the clowns raising their hand, I like to be put down. For those people who like to be teased, I have them stand up and I ask them, you know, they think they're cool standing up, and I say, for those of you who like to be teased, how many of you want to be the target of the next violent shooting? Well, they're not laughing anymore, and they sit down and they know that this is a serious matter. The people who are teasing, the people who are doing the bullying, sometimes they are the targets, and if they don't get hit in the target, if they're not the target of a violent shooting, sometimes innocent lives who are around them are the targets. This is a very serious issue. So number one, we build inclusion through safety. And number two, we offer an outlet for those people who are being bullied to go to talk to somebody who is in the community, a caring adult who can offer that mentorship.
Going back to the religious question a moment ago, this question wants to know what your position might be on the posting of the 10 Commandments in public schools.
Well, obviously, you probably know by now I'm Catholic, so I do believe in the 10 Commandments. However, I've taught in public schools, and I teach, or last year I taught at a Catholic school. I think it's appropriate for Catholic schools because that's part of the doctrine. But if you're talking about a public school, you may cross over the boundaries of separation of church and state. And I think if you're going to offend somebody by bringing religion into it, then you're not really trained correctly in character education, because again, it has to transcend religion. And even though the 10 Commandments are straightforward, I like what they have to say in it. The heart of what 10 Commandments are saying is good. However, the fact that you're labeling it 10 Commandments gives people the understanding that it's related to religion. So take those concepts, make it localized in your community, and then implement it as character education in your local school.
Let's talk a little bit now about you and Miss America. This question I would like to know, are you still involved with kids in athletics, and how important do you think sports activities are for youth development?
I'm not as involved in athletics as I'd like to be, because last year I was a PE teacher. I had 200 students in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. I was the athletic director, and I coached 3 sports, basketball, volleyball, and track. Stayed till 7 o'clock every night at school. So I'm not as involved as I was last year, but I still do push for physical education and physical fitness in our youth, because I believe it's important to stay healthy and have a healthy lifestyle for the future. The problem is that there are a lot of kids who are out there that are obese, and they need to be healthy. They have to have active lifestyles. Your question was, am I still involved with kids as well? I speak to a lot of elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, college students, the community at large, along with governors, legislators, and other community leaders. But the kids are the focus of what I do, because my platform is character education. My target is getting to America's youth. So I do deal with them a lot. And it's actually part of one of the highlights of being Miss America.
Do you think that the role of Miss America has changed to conform to the developing role of a woman in American society today?
I think so, otherwise I wouldn't be in the program. I know that it's evolved over the 80 years of its existence. It started in 1921 as a bathing beauty contest. It evolved in 1945, adding the scholarships, and then the talent, and then the platform where a girl gets to choose an issue of importance that is also important to American society. So it's really evolved. If I were to look at it and say, I don't agree with it, it doesn't empower women, it takes away, I wouldn't be a part of it. You know, I'm a teacher, but I also have respect for myself, and people who think that this is a program that demeans women, I look at them and I say, I met President Bush and the First Lady in 1 week. I flew to the Philippines and met President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo the next week. Don't tell me that this is demeaning to women, because I'm able to do things and make a difference. I'm able to testify before legislatures in different states and talk about the importance of character education. So I do think that, yes, the Miss America organization has been moving in the correct direction, and if it weren't, then I probably wouldn't be a part of it.
Well then, we have a couple of questions here that mentioned, should the swimsuit competition be eliminated? I hesitate to ask that question to a previous winner of the swimsuit competition.
It's funny because I had never won a swimsuit competition until I got to Atlantic City. I had competed in about this is probably my 10th pageant because I started when I was 18, and then when I lost preliminaries or I won preliminaries, I tried again. You have to win a local to go on to the state, and once you win the state, you go on to the national. So this was my 10th pageant, and before, like I said, I didn't want to run in pageants because of the swimsuit. I felt, how embarrassing. Who gets up and puts heels on and makeup and all that other stuff? But when I thought about the good versus the bad, I was able to overcome a lot of my fears. Initially, I thought the swimsuit portion should have been taken out and eliminated, but now I realize that after doing that and being in front of millions of people all over the world and the nation, I can do anything. It's built up this confidence, like, shh, I got clothes on, you know? I can do whatever I want, and not be afraid or not be embarrassed because I'm proud of who I am. And some people would look at me and they say, well, you don't look like a Miss America. You don't have the blonde hair and the blue eyes and the long legs. And they'll look at me and they'll say, but that's cool, you know, after 80 years being the first Asian Miss America, that's cool, you look like me. And so people have that kind of connection. I had mentioned before, yes, I wanted the swimsuit out, and then I said, no, I didn't want it taken out. There are different sides to it because, again, you build the confidence, but I was also able to motivate myself to lose a couple dress sizes. I mean, you're going to be on national television. You want to look the best you can be. My advice to people out there is just to be confident in who you are, be proud of who you are, and be the best that you can be without comparing yourself to anybody else. And that's what I've learned through the program.
I don't know, but you look like Miss America to me.
Oh, thank you.
What is the most difficult question you have been asked? Was it already asked?
I think we just did that one.
And another one dealing with questions, which asks, what is the question you are most frequently asked?
Are you excited? Is it a good job? Well, I always have to answer it with a brand new feeling because the same people in the same room will ask me the same thing over and over, like, oh my gosh, it must be so exciting to be Miss America. And you know, if I'm just by myself with a group of people and I say it one time, it's very genuine. And then it starts to feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again when one person after another asks it. But it really is an exciting job. The hardest part is traveling the 20,000 miles a month because I'm literally in a different city every 18 to 36 hours on the average. I was telling somebody that 2 weeks ago I met with President Bush and the First Lady in D.C. We flew to Orlando for the Children's Miracle Network, where I was the Goodwill Ambassador, flew through Missouri to Hawaii. The next day, flew to Japan for a quick stopover, went to the Philippines for 2 days, and it was nonstop. And then we went back to Japan, went to Hawaii, went to L.A., did some appearances there, flew all the way to D.C., and now here I am. So, it's exciting, but it's very rewarding.
What do you say to all the 10-year-old girls out there who refuse to eat their dinners because they think they are too fat and want to look like Britney Spears?
Eat your food. No, I have some friends who are actually in the pageant with me, and one of the girls who I was kind of close with during the competition, her platform was eating disorders, and a lot of girls will admit to having disorders, but the reason they will have those disorders are because they have low self-esteem, and this is what a friend of mine had told me. She said, I'm able to overcome it now and be a motivational speaker and speak out on this issue, but the fact is I wasn't very proud of who I was. And if you're trying to lose weight to impress other people and look better for somebody else, that's the wrong intention. If you're trying to lose weight because you want to feel better about yourself, you want to be healthy, do it the right way. Don't diet, because diet has the word die in it. So don't diet, just get on a better eating schedule and work on the healthy habits like exercising and eating correctly.
Well, I've got to tell you, I can't help noticing this crown up here. Every time I come up here, I see the crown. Tell us about the crown, and do you ever wear it? Do you just carry it around and set it up there so that people can see it?
That's an interesting question. It's funny because I wear the crown during parades, and I wear it when people really want to see it. And sometimes people are like, please wear the crown. But to me, I talk about this crown as three things. Number one, it's a symbol of my achievement. It's a symbol of accomplishment. When I was 18 and I started running, people were like, oh gosh, she's never run in a pageant before. What is she doing? You know, I listened to all the advice of other people. And then along the way, people would put me down and say, oh, she can't win with a Spanish song. Nobody wins Miss Hawaii with a Spanish song. And when I won, everybody said, you should sing a Spanish song for Miss America. And then when I went on to compete for Miss America, I said, I want to represent my state and dance hula. Oh, poor thing. Nobody wins Miss America with a hula. And when I won, oh, it was the most beautiful hula I've ever seen. So I look at this and I refer to it as a trophy because it really is a symbol of my accomplishments. And I would rather hold it and use it as a trophy than something on my head, because Miss America is just one thing that I am. I'm a lot of other things, and I don't think it defines me. My students know me as Coach Angie or Miss Baraquio. My kindergartners can't say my name, so they call me Miss Broccoli. So I call this my trophy because this is something that they inspired me to work for, and I thank all of my students out there. The second thing I talk about it is my microphone. And like I said before, when I was a teacher, the kids listened to me, and I had a lot of friends who listened to what I had to say because I always had a voice. But now my voice is amplified, and I can go to different places, whether it's in the United States or beyond, and people will listen to what I have to say about character education, and that's powerful. And the final thing I say is that it's a work of art, because the students represent the jewels in the crown. When you look at it from afar, it looks like a big shiny crown. But close up, if you get to look at the the individual pieces, the little jewels represent a student or a person in the audience today, because every single one of them are beautiful and special and different and unique. And without one of them, the world wouldn't be as beautiful. And without one of these jewels, the crown wouldn't be as beautiful. So I always encourage the people who are listening to remember that one person can make a difference, but together as a collective whole, we can change the world. And I ask them to respect themselves and the other people around them, because you never know who's looking at you as a role model, whether it's your sister or your brother or your cousin or your neighbor. So just to remember how important you are and how special you are. That's why I don't wear it.
Very good. You mentioned, I think, being in parades, and this questioner noted that you looked pretty cold during your stint on the flat during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and once goes on to ask, what do you think has been the most fun you've had as Miss America? And perhaps you could also say what may have been the funniest and the most difficult thing you've encountered.
5 questions. Okay.
I can do them one at a time.
I'll try my best. Okay, well, first of all, the Macy's Day Parade was fun. It was my first time being at the parade. It was freezing. I had hand warmers, I had feet warmers, but I didn't wear socks, so I was cold, because your feet are the most vital part of your body. I felt sorry for the hula dancers from Hawaii because they were on my float, and 2 blocks down, they're like, "Clothes off!" So they threw everything off, and so the dancers from Lahaina, old Lahaina Luau, they were just freezing, but they did a great job performing. And we had fun, so I said, hey, at least I have a coat on. One of the best things I've been able to do as Miss America is go to the Super Bowl. I was sharing a skybox with Joe Namath and Don Shula and Tex Schramm and General Schwarzkopf, of all people. There were tons of skyboxes, and I was in that skybox with all of them. We also had a celebrity fashion show called the Gridiron Glamour, and I was able to help with some other celebrities raise money for breast cancer research. So backstage was Daisy Fuentes and Ananda Lewis and Marion Jones and Star Jones, and Holly Robinson Peete and her husband Rodney Peete had sponsored the whole event. But I've also been able to go to the Philippines. I told you that last week. I went to the Philippines and met my only living grandparent for the very first time, my Lolo Alejo, and then the Baraquio and the Perez family that are back in the Philippines. So that was exciting. I could go on. This is a great job. Like I said, I'm traveling every other day. Another good thing that I was able to do was be a part of something called Team Harmony. I spoke to 14,000 people with President Clinton coming in via satellite, and we spoke to kids about stopping violence and building cultural ties with other people. And it was just amazing. We were hooked up to Johannesburg, South Africa, and also to Belfast, Ireland. So a lot of good things that I'm able to do with this platform.
How many hours of every day do you think you can classify as your free time? And if you have any free time, what do you do with it?
Free time while I'm awake? My free time is when I'm sleeping. That's why I can sleep standing up, but I have my eyes open, so I'm still awake. Don't worry about it. When I have free time, I like to work out in the gyms, usually in the hotels, or I like to call up friends who are in the local vicinity. I've actually gotten in touch with a lot of Miss States. Not mistakes, Miss States. So when I went to Colorado, I met with Miss Colorado, I met with Miss Texas, met with Miss Delaware, Miss Minnesota. Whenever I have time, I'll call up the state contestant, because we were really good friends. In fact, we have a master list, and we all email each other and update each other on what we're doing. So I like to visit with them or visit with family in the vicinity.
What is the most important advice that your mother passed on to you?
Respect yourself. That's how she says it too. Hi, Ma. Sorry. No, she really told us always to respect ourselves. We have 7 girls in the family, so she was very sure to be on top of that, make sure that we were in line. Respect ourselves, respect others, have a faith in God, because you live alone. you're born into this world alone and you die alone, and the only thing that you have always is God. She said that he's constant and he will always be with you when you need him. And I found that especially this year, during my lowest times when I'm lonely because I've never been away from my family more than 10 days. This is before I became Miss Hawaii. I had never gone to the East Coast until I became Miss Hawaii, and that was just to compete for Miss America. So this has been a total change for me, trying to get used to life without my family on an everyday basis, and also the importance of family.
Did you always want to be a teacher? And if you weren't a teacher, what would you be?
I wanted to be a teacher since I was in 2nd grade because I had a teacher named Miss Mary Rudine, and I don't know where she is, but if she hears this telecast, hopefully she will call up the Miss America organization, let me know where she is, because she really inspired me. I remember I wanted to be a teacher since I was in 2nd grade because she was my 2nd grade teacher. But in kindergarten, I remember telling my mom I wanted to be a nun. I don't know why. I don't remember that, but she told me that, and then I kind of remember writing it down somewhere, but I guess because we used to read a lot of stories on saints growing up, so I think that's what happened.
You say that you want to promote Hawaii during your time as Miss America. So what would you like us to know about your state, and sort of give us a tour of your state?
Well, first of all, we are the 50th state. We are the Aloha state. And let me teach you all the shaka sign. This is shaka. This is your pinky and your thumb. You put it up, and it's just a sign that means hang loose, have fun, and a lot of times I'll do it because it encompasses everything. Aloha is love. It means what's up. It means hi, bye. It means all these good things. But this is the shaka sign. And everybody does it because that's the kind of mentality we have back home. We're very hang loose. We're very, we just go with the flow and we keep it real. So that's what that's all about. When people always ask me, they see me, they say, so do you always wear coconut bras and grass skirts? And do you use shells for money? Or when they come and visit to our state, they'll say, back in the States. And I say, we are a state. We're the 50th state. Don't say back in the States. And we don't use shells for money. We use U.S. currency. So people have a lot of misconceptions. They think all we have are sunsets and beaches and nice people, which is true. But we're also a civilized society. So that's something I want to share. The best part about Hawaii is not only the food, which is, oh no, that means really good, but also the people. The people are so friendly and they're welcoming. So if you want to come and visit my state, come and see me in Oahu. There are 8 islands, and that's where I'm from, Honolulu, Hawaii.
So now that you're traveling all the time, what do you miss most about Hawaii?
The constant weather. I never had closed-toed shoes until I won Miss America. I had all these sandals, and I had to buy all these suits because I wore sundresses and sandals, and never had a winter coat, so they took me on a really nice shopping spree. We went wardrobing in New York, and everything was like, ooh, ooh, and my traveling companions laugh at me because every city we go to, I'm like, ooh, I've never been here before. When we drove from Atlantic City to New York, I was looking out the window, and the buildings are so tall. Well, that's what kept coming out of my mouth. So everything's exciting to me. I miss the constant weather. I miss my family. I miss the people. I miss the food. I miss the beaches. They all lump together. I can't just name one thing.
That sounds like a whole lot to be missing. Tell us, if you were going to advise a young woman, all the people who are watching us on C-SPAN or listening to us on the National Public Radio today, tell us what you would advise a young woman who is considering a try for the title of Miss America.
Some girls, they'll come from a different program and then they'll compete in the Miss America organization and not realize that it really is a job. The biggest question I think girls will ask me is, so do you do modeling contracts and do you get furs and jewels and cars? This is a scholarship program, and I know there's a movie out that kind of teases that. I've seen it. It's a funny movie. But this is a scholarship program. And when I won Miss America, I won $50,000 in cash scholarships. If I don't use it towards education, I can't cash it in and use it at all. It goes straight to scholarships. I don't win furs and jewels and cars and things like that. I win scholarship money. So this program is also a job. I told you that I speak to legislators, I speak to congressmen, I speak to governors, I speak at different schools. Depending on what your platform is, that's what you will be doing for the entire year. It is a year of service. It's not particularly a reign. You won't be wearing your crown and banner. We don't get a banner in the Miss America organization. What you do is you're promoting a social cause. You're out to make a difference. And if you think that it's all fun and games, then please do more research on the program because it really is a tough job. And even at the local levels, I didn't understand the extent of the job. And I don't think anybody really understands what it's like to be Miss America until you're in the shoes, because you have to be dynamic, you have to have a lot of energy, and you have to be mentally and physically and spiritually grounded.
Before I ask you the last question, I have a little bit of business I'd like to do. One is to present you with a certificate of appreciation for your appearance here today at the National Press Club. And one is to present you with a National Press Club mug, which I hope you can take back to Hawaii and put something good in it. And the last question I'd like to ask you is that you're obviously in great shape, and you talked about how you like to work out. Give us a little bit about your fitness routine. I'm interested in this Tai Bo routine that you go through.
I had a tape with me, especially during the week of the pageant. I'm going to put a plug for Billy Blanks. Billy Blanks started this new craze in America called Tai Bo, and it's just some videotapes that you throw in. I actually was working out with some of my coworkers back at Holy Family during lunch. We'd put in the 45-minute advanced tape, and you're doing a lot of punching and you're doing a lot of kicking. But what I like about it is that you get to dance, you get to empower yourself, you get to kind of connect yourself with the source. It burns a lot of fat, a lot of energy, and you're building up muscles. You also work on every body part. You isolate the different body parts, and so it keeps you in really good shape and it keeps up your stamina. It's a fun workout, that's the bottom line. But you have to be prepared, and you have to go through all the levels, like the basic and the intermediate, before you hit advanced. So you can't just start off in advanced. It takes a while for you to build up. But it's a lot of fun, and on the road, I don't get to do the tape all the time because I don't have VCRs in my hotel room. So sometimes I'll just be in front of the mirror doing my punches, or I'll go down to the workout room and I'll work out in the fitness rooms.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Aloha.
I'd like to thank you all for coming today, and I'd also like to thank National Press Club staff members Melinda Cook, Pat Nelson, Joanne Booz, Melanie Abdel-Dermot, and Howard Rothman for organizing today's luncheon. And also thanks to the NPC Library for the research. Thank you. We are adjourned.